This next project is one that you might not believe is a dollar store based project, but it really is. I got this outdoor wooden picket fence from the dollar store. It was $1.99, and then I went ahead and I used my jigsaw to cut off all of the kind of pieces that were sticking off of the middle section, so you're ending up with a piece that looks like this. I then went ahead and grabbed some sandpaper just to sand down any of those cut edges to ensure they were nice and smooth, and I brought out once again my classic black Varathane wood stain to give this an entire coat of this classic black stain. Now the thing I liked about this piece in particular is I think it had a finish on it, so it kind of didn't soak in some of the stain, but it allowed you to see some of that wood grain a little bit better, which I loved. So I soaked this piece of raffia cane material in water for about 20 minutes, and then I cut it down to the width of our piece. I'm going to be stapling this to the back side so that you can actually see that woven cane through the little openings on the front side. So using a staple gun, I stapled all the way across the bottom there. I then pulled it taut and stapled across the sides and across all the little middle posts as well. And then on the front side of this piece, I went ahead and I used a drill with a really small drill bit to create a pilot hole for all of our little hooks to go into. I thought this would be such a cute jewelry holder in your bedroom. I feel like it looks super elevated, or even a key holder by your front door. So once you're finished screwing in those hooks, you can just go ahead and hang this wherever you'd like to use it, and that finishes off this project. This is a really fun kind of artistic, artsy hack on upcycling old prints that you might not like anymore, or old art in general. This is also a great way to take thrifted art and just make it look so much more interesting. So what I actually did was taking the entire art piece in the frame itself, I went ahead and I taped off a diagonal section and then taped off any area that I didn't want my spray paint to hit. I also did the smaller one here, which kind of had an emphasis on yellow in the photo. It had yellow daisies, but on this opposite one, I ended up doing a nice little cream toned paint. On the smaller one, I did a yellow glossy paint, and once you remove the actual tape from these pieces and you have a nice generous coat of the spray paint on there, you just are left with such a unique kind of abstract art piece. And I love how the frame matches the paint on the picture itself. It's just a great way to elevate any old artwork or something that you might not like anymore. For our next project, I wanted to share with you guys how to make some really cute cement or concrete planters. So I started off with some of this cement mix. Now this is not the cement mix I currently use. This one has so many large rocks in it. I actually suggest getting the pre-sifted cement mix that comes in the tub from Lowe's or Home Depot. And what I ended up doing was just mixing this with water and turning it into the consistency that I want it to be, and then pouring it into a foam cup, which is going to be the mold for our planter. Now pressing inside of that foam cup, I am applying a little kind of solo shot glass, which you're going to want to weigh down with a couple of rocks or heavy stones. That way it sits in the middle of your cup and allows it to dry, and this is going to be the mold base for your piece. So once it has fully dried, you could remove that inner solo cup. You have your little place that you're now going to put your plant inside of, and you can also cut away the foam cup from the exterior. I can definitely say that foam cups really create a beautiful mold for any project. It's very, very smooth in the end, and I like the finish that it gives. So sanding that top rim just to kind of give it a finished off look. You could then go in with a little bit of paint to add a detail, or just leave it as is. So on the side here, I used my silver gilding paint, and I just painted the side of this silver, making sure I had a nice straight line with my tape. You can also do it horizontally or vertically, but once you have them all taped off, these are your finished concrete planters. If you're in need of a boho pendant light, I have you covered with this IKEA hack. I basically ended up using 2 of these wooden bowls that you could find in the kitchen section with a large hole drill bit, because we are going to be drilling through the exact center of both of these bowls, both the large one and the small bowl. And next what you're going to want to do is go ahead and start stringing some wooden beads onto a jute cord, or whatever cord that you have that kind of matches the color tone of your bowls there. So to get our pendant shape, I'm actually going to be gluing the bowls on the outsides together. So as you can see, it's kind of creating this almost very, I guess, light shape. I feel like this is a very kind of mod light shape. And around the center section where we added the glue, I'm going to be tying on our wooden beads. That's kind of going to add our boho element to this piece. Now for our light cord. I picked up a basic light cord from IKEA, and I ended up wrapping the entire cord with our jute rope. That way it just matched the aesthetic of our pendant light to start. You're going to go ahead and glue this directly down in the center, applying a generous amount of Gorilla Hot glue. You're just going to want something very industrial strength. That way you can press this down in the center. Now on the underside, you're going to want to also apply on this piece, which kind of just finishes it off and makes it look a little bit more finished. And then pop your bulb in and you are good to go. This was my first time ever trying punch needling, and it was so much fun. I loved it. I basically used an embroidery hoop with some monk's cloth, which is the proper material you're going to be needing for punch needling. I cut away any of that excess on the outside of my embroidery hoop, and then I went ahead and started to draw out the design that I wanted to go for. So I kind of wanted something a little bit abstract, a little bit geometric. This was my first time, so I didn't want anything too complex. And using my punch needle tool, which you could find these on Amazon, you're going to string through the yarn of choice that you're going to go with, and start with the outline of your shape first. So I went ahead and did this larger half circle shape with this orange color. I did the outline and then I filled it in on the inside. Now what I can give you tip-wise for punch needling is just to make sure that you punch all the way down. That's what's going to create the loop on the opposite side and make sure that none of your rings come out as you go along. So I went ahead, I did the white middle section. I also added this little tan section, and then I did a yellow border all the way around the exterior, and then I filled in the white with the yellow as well. And then once you are finished off, you can cut away any of that excess monk's cloth on the back side, and that finishes off your wall decor piece. This next project is another super old project on my channel, one of the first DIYs that I ever created, and I wanted to create a little leaning ladder that kind of allowed you to display some of your decor or whatever you wanted to place on here. So I went to the hardware store and I got some wood cut down to the sizes featured in that first frame there, and basically I brought this outside and used nails to nail it together. Now if I was to be recreating this project currently, I would 1000% probably be using either wood glue and some screws or just screws. I don't suggest using nails for this project, but that is how I went ahead and did it. I just went ahead and I nailed directly through the shelves on my piece along with the side there. Nailed 2 nails into each section, and I just moved my way along, placing shelves where I wanted them to go and using 2 nails to secure them into place. Super simple and easy, and I styled it like this. Neon signs are super funky and fun in home decor, however they can be pretty expensive if you need one custom made. So I wanted to share with you guys how to kind of create your very own makeshift neon sign, which I think would be a great Christmas gift for someone or birthday present or just piece for your own bedroom. So I started off with a large canvas and painted it the backing color that I wanted it to be. I just opted for this kind of corally pink color, and then I went ahead and got these LED strip lights, which are from Amazon. They are just basically string lights that are super malleable. You can use them however you would like to. So I punched a hole in the back side of my canvas and brought the string light out the front, and I was able to then go ahead and create the shape that I wanted to. Now, I suggest going ahead and tracing out the design you want to go with first. That way you can go ahead and just use super glue to adhere it down. And I do suggest using super glue. It holds down the LED strip in literally a matter of 1 second. And once you finish off a desired section like the word hello, you can actually pull your light strip through the back side and then have it come up through a new section if you do want more LED on the front side. So I created a little border on the bottom, and I used a little bit of my pink paint just to go in and kind of cover up any of those super glue remnants because they are a little bit glossy. I taped my battery pack on the back side, and that finishes off your DIY LED sign. Here I have another fun dollar store project for you guys. So I found these little plant pots at the dollar store. They're basically just like the pots that would essentially be used when plants are first starting out. You kind of grow them in here and transfer them into soil. So I ripped them all apart, and I'm going to be boiling them down in some water. This literally looks like beef. If you guys watch the full tutorial of this project, I talk about how it looks identical to roast beef, and that is basically what it is. But we are going to be using a mixer here to mix it up in a bowl and break down all of our paper fibers. because what we're going to be doing is creating a paper mache bowl using some joint compound and some Elmer's glue. So mixing that into our material to start, which is basically our broken down paper fibers that is all heated up. We're going to want a nice mushy material. Next, you're going to want to go ahead and find some form of mold. So I found this large IKEA bowl. I used some oil on the exterior of it and also added some cling wrap on the outside as well. That way our piece would not stick in the end and it would just nicely come off. So scooping a large dollop of our roast beef material on top, but it's really paper mache. You're going to press this on the exterior, let it dry in a place for 4 to 5 days. Now, I suggest if you want to create this project, going back and watching the full tutorial, which I'll link it below for you guys. I just went ahead and I painted this with a little bit of cream paint, some black paint. I also added some wood stain to kind of give it a vintage look, and that finished off this bowl. Project 99 is another oldie but goodie, you guys. I'm going to share with you how to create a cute little jewelry holder using some cement mix. So starting off, I'm mixing up my cement as I normally would with some water to create the consistency that I want to go for. I am then going to be pouring this about 3 inches deep into an oatmeal container. You can really use whatever you want for this project, but I found the oatmeal container worked perfectly. And as you can see, the next step is I'm going to be placing in a paper mache cone, which I'm going to press down into my cement mixture. That way, once it fully dries, it's kind of sealed on the inside of the cement and you can pull it away and you're going to have your paper mache cone just stuck down in the middle there. Using a little bit of sandpaper, I went ahead and sanded down at the edges to make sure that they were nice and clean. But this is how I created a really cute like bracelet or ring holder for your bedroom. And our last project is a very fun vase project using this pool noodle that I found at the dollar store along with some of the lightweight spackling from the dollar store as well. I just went ahead and I actually coated the outside of this pool noodle using our lightweight spackling to almost give it a ceramic finish. I really wanted this piece to kind of give off CB2 or Urban Outfitters vase vibes that you would buy for like $150. Now I went through so many processes of spray painting this piece. I started off with black to start and I was honestly not a fan. So then I went in with this stone finish spray paint. I sprayed this on there, gave it a generous coat of the stone finish, and once again, I was not the biggest fan. It kind of just had this odd colorway to it, and the black wasn't fully coated. So then I brought it inside and I used some white acrylic paint mixed up with a little bit of tan acrylic paint, mixed that together, and then I fully coated my piece with this paint, and I love the way that it turned out. It totally finished it off and made it look like a really funky retro vase. You can pop some florals on the inside, and that finishes off your vase project.